classification of the PRP, or the path of the PRP, you can say. So the PRP, the very important point for the PRP are 2 or 3 points you should remember for your exam, for the MCQ picking, or the answer of the PRP MCQs. That is, PRP is going to present with a hyperkeratotic papule plaque erythroderma. The most common complication is your high output cardiac failure. Then the point to remember is that there is always going to be island of sparing. When you see the patient of PRP, there is going to be a generalized redness or the generalized eruption in the form of hyperkeratotic papule, but there is going to be island of sparing as well. And the patient present with a yellowish or orange red palmoplantar keratoderma. These 2 points are very typical for your PRP or pityriasis rubra pilaris. The other name for the PRP is your lichen ruber acuminatus. So your lichen ruber acuminatus is also very important. Sometimes they ask about the diagnosis, and the second name of the disease is given in the options, and if you are not familiar with that name, you are going to miss the MCQ. So PRP, the other name for the PRP is going to be the lichen ruber acuminatus. If we deal about the types of the PRP, there is 6 basic types of the PRP in the form of type 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. Among these type 6, the type 6 is basically something very different from all the types of the PRP. That type 6 is related to HIV. So important infection associated with the PRP is HIV, and whenever you are dealing with the type 6 PRP, you have to give antiretroviral therapy. Retroviral therapy in the patient of PRP of type 6 is going to be the right answer for your treatment point of view. Then the remaining types are very important. You have to remember the percentages of these type. You have to remember the prognosis and the different features to understand, to pick the MCQ, and the clinical features. So these are important 3 points for your all types of PRP. This is very easy to remember, that the type 1 and your type 3, you can just make the 13 figure. The type 1 and type 3 are your classical types, and the other type 2 and type 1 25 is your atypical types, and the remaining one we have already discussed, type 6 or HIV related. We are left with the 5, F4 F for familial. So F is your basically familial type. So these are the these are the 6 basic types of PRP. Among these 6, the last 3, 4, and 5, 3, 4, and 5 are your juvenile types. So this is easy to remember, that 1 and 3 are classical. So all the classical features of PRP that are presenting in the patients of PRP is going to be in the form of classical form, 1 and 3. The only difference is that the 1 is adult form, 3 is your juvenile form. So the first thing, we have just done the classification of the PRP. The other thing is important percentages. Type 1 is a very important disease. This is presenting with all the features, the classical features of the PRP. It's major bulk of the patients, it's 55%. Type 3 was classical juveniles. It is the second most common disease, which is 10%. Not the second most common, but the classical one. Among the classical one, it's 10%. The type 3, 2, and 5, which was atypical, it's presenting with 5%. So easy to remember that the atypicality is basically your 5%. Then the only thing is left with the type 4 disease. Type 4 is your 25%. So these are the percentages of PRP. This is very important to remember. Then comes your age of distribution. PRP presents with a bimodal age of distribution. If we just remember, the psoriasis patients also present with a bimodal age of distribution, and it's very important. Psoriasis and PRP both present with a bimodal age of distribution. The important association of PRP is hypothyroidism, and again type 6 PRP present with the HIV as well. For the pathophysiology, you should learn pathophysiology by heart. For the treatment point of view, pathophysiology is very important. When you are familiar with the pathophysiology, you can straightforward pick the MCQ that are related to your treatment. So PRP is basically your Th17 mediated pathway. Just remember this word, that the PRP is your type 17 mediated pathway. Whenever there is going to be Th17 mediated pathway, there is interleukins involved, are interleukin 17 and interleukin 23 or interleukin 22. So these are 3 important interleukins of Th17 pathway. So it's understood that in the treatment of PRP, there is going to be response with the secukinumab, which is interleukin 17 inhibitor. There's going to be response from the ustekinumab, which is interleukin 23 inhibitor. But there is a little twist in the PRP, that interleukin 17 can be divided into the interleukin 17A and interleukin 17C. So most of the time, when you give secukinumab to the patients of PRP, they do not respond because the secukinumab is your interleukin 17A inhibitor. So most of the time, the patients are deal with the interleukin 17A, and the lesions have interleukin 17C present. So secukinumab is not a preferred biologic or the preferred option in the form of PRP. So when they ask the priority wise, when the MCQs is second line treatment or the third line treatment, you have to choose the answer priority wise. So ustekinumab is superior in PRP as compared to secukinumab, which is interleukin 17 inhibitor. So this is very important concept. Ustekinumab is the right answer in the treatment ladder of PRP. Uh, Next, we are dealing with the pathology. Pathology is very important. Pathology for PRP, you have to remember 2-3 points and compare it with the psoriasis for the easy learning that the PRP always present with the hypergranulosis. There is going to be hypergranulosis, while in psoriasis you have just read that there is going to be hypogranulosis or the loss of granular layer. So these are the two important differences of the PRP and psoriasis. Then again, in PRP, there is going to be irregular psoriasiform acanthosis. While in psoriasis, if we just remember that there is going to be a club shaped retinoids is a very regular acanthosis. So regular acanthosis is a feature of psoriasis and the irregular acanthosis is a feature of PRP. Then again, the important concept of psoriasis histology was your Monro abscesses or those spongiform pustules of gauge intraepithelial collection of neutrophils. Neutrophils was very important in the psoriasis pathology, while the PRP is just there is going to be absent neutrophils. There is no neutrophil at all. So these 3 points are very important for your PRP in comparison with the psoriasis. But the most important point that are clue to your MCQ picking in PRP is your these two points. Checkerboard appearance. Checkerboard appearance is basically alternate ortho and parakeratosis. You all know that the hyperkeratosis is just increase in the layers of the skin. So this is hyperkeratosis. When the nucleus are retained, this is called parakeratosis. So in PRP, there is going to be retained nucleus as well as there is going to be devoid of nucleus. Orthokeratosis and parakeratosis in the form of checkerboard pattern. And in PRP, there is going to be shoulder parakeratosis. Shoulder parakeratosis is nothing but whenever there is a hair follicle, this is a hair follicle. You all know the PRP is follicular hyperkeratosis disease. So hair follicle, when the shoulder of hair follicle typically retain the nucleus. Parakeratosis is at the shoulder of the hair follicle. So this is called shoulder parakeratosis. These are the two important histological points for the PRP. Genetics is very important for MCQ. This can be given in MCQ that what are the genetic mutation involved in the PRP. So PRP present with the CARD14 mutation, which is basically your nuclear factor kappa B pathway. CARD14 is same as SORS2 locus, but in psoriasis, if you just revise the psoriasis present with the SORS1 pathology most of the time. 90% of the plaque psoriasis present with the SORS1 locus that was encoding the HLA0602, but the PRP present with the SORS2 locus, which is CARD14. Next comes the classical presentations. So the presentation of PRP, the first is your classical type 1 PRP. First, classical type 1 PRP is the major bulk of the disease. It's 55% of the patients. You have to remember the age of distribution for understanding the MCQs, that the 40 to 60 years is your classical adult type. The counterpart of the classical adult is your type 3 PRP, which is classical juvenile type. You can remember classical juvenile type is 10% and present with the 5 to 10 years of age. So age of distribution is just a little clue. You are dealing with the adult patient, you are dealing with the juvenile type. Both types, classical types like type 1 or type 3, the important thing and the good thing is that the both are self-resolving. The type 1 PRP resolves within the 3 years of life, and the type 3 PRP resolve within a 1 to 2 years of life. These are very important. But for type 3 PRP, you have to remember two additional points as well. 3 points. Like it can resolve it can be self-resolving in the 1 to 2 years. It can evolve into the type 4 PRP. It can recur in the adult's life. So type 3 PRP basically has three fates. It can recur, it can evolve into type 4, it can be self-resolution in the 1 to 2 years of life. So this is very important for the MCQ. The prognosis is very important. For type 1 PRP, what is the prognosis? It's going to be resolved in the 3 years of life. What's the prognosis for the type 3 PRP? It's going to resolve in the 1 or 2 years of life. You can just make a cross. Type 1 resolve in the 3 years and the type 3 resolves in the 1 year. So this is a vice versa thing. Next one is atypical types. The atypical types are basically your type 2 and 5. 2 and 5 are your atypical types. Both are atypical. The important thing is that the atypicality do not follow the classical features or the most important features of your PRP. What are the different atypicalities can be there? it is not following the cephalocaudal distribution. It's not following the cephalocaudal distribution. Atypical type 2 type present on the lower limbs. This is a different thing. It present in the lower limb. Next thing is that it's not going to be a self-resolving. It presents with a chronic course. Both atypical types, type 2 and type 5, present with a chronic course. This is a very important thing for the MCQ. This is the prognosis. Then for type 2, you have to remember two lesions. The follicular papules is going to be there because it's the main feature of the PRP. That's going to be there in the type 2. But the atypical thing is that there's going to be the eczematous lesions, there is going to be the ichthyosiform lesions. So these are the two different things that are the features of the type 2 PRP. Then comes the type 5 PRP. Type 5 PRP, both the type 2 and type 5 are 5% of the burden. 5% are your atypical disease. This is clear. Then when you write 5 is just same like S. So type 5 PRP is basically your scleroderma like changes. 2 was eczema and ichthyosiform like changes, but the 5 is basically scleroderma like changes. This is the main feature of type 5 PRP. Type 6 PRP is straightforward. It is related to HIV. When you have to deal with a patient of type 6 PRP, you have to deal with antiretroviral drugs. It has poorer prognosis. Then the important association for the type 6 PRP is basically your follicular occlusion triad or tetrad. You all know the part of follicular occlusion triad. These are acne, these are hidradenitis suppurativa, and these are the third one is spinonidal sinus. So whenever you see a patient of AIDS with a PRP, with the typical idle nerve sparing, with the follicular keratosis, with the palmoplantar keratoderma in the form of yellowish hue, you have to look for the follicular occlusion triad, because you all know the association of HIV related type 6 PRP has follicular occlusion triad. So this is an important point. We are just left with the type 4 PRP, which is circumscribed juvenile PRP. Circumscribed mean grouped. So there is going to be some grouped lesions. Where is the typical location of that grouped lesion? These are elbows and knees. You can just remember type 4, F4, you have to remember all 4 limbs. 4 limbs are in the form of elbows, in the form of knees. So the type 4 PRP present with the elbows and knees in the form of grouped papule. Again, it has less favorable outcome than classical type. It has spontaneous remissions and exacerbations. So these are the different prognoses and the features of the PRP, which is very important. Then next comes the complication. What are the complications, or what are the comorbidities of the PRP? So we have just done the erythroderma is a very important complication, and it presents with a high output cardiac failure. Another thing to remember in the PRP is your eyes. So eyes in the form of psoriasis, it was the most important complication was anterior uveitis. So this is also an important MCQ. So anterior uveitis is a complication of psoriasis, but in PRP the important complication is keratitis, ulcerative keratitis and ectropion. So these are the important points. If we deal with investigation, it's a clinical diagnosis, but if you are in doubt, you can deal with the histology as well. In the form of management, you just have to give the emollients, but this, you all know, this is a hyperkeratotic disease, so emollients should be added with the keratolytics in the form of urea, salicylic acid, alpha hydroxylic acid. So these are important for the treatment of the PRP. Then it's an inflammatory dermatosis. You have to deal with the inflammation as well in the form of topical corticosteroid, retinoids, vitamin D analogs, and calcineurin inhibitor. First keratolytics, then inflammatory anti-inflammatory drugs. If the disease is widespread or it's not controlled with the topical therapy, you have to go for the systemic agents as well. Again, for the systemic, the first line is your keratolytics in the form of oral retinoids. For oral retinoids, you have to know the treatment ladder, or the response wise, the choice of treatment retinoids. First line is alitretinoin is very important, then isotretinoin, then acitretin. And you all know that teratogenicity is the main side effect of the retinoids, so you should be cautious about it. The second line treatment is methotrexate or ustekinumab. We have just read that the ustekinumab is superior to the interleukin 17. So this is the treatment ladder, very important. Methotrexate and ustekinumab is given in the second line treatment, and third line treatment is TNF inhibitors or interleukin 17 and cyclosporin. Then there are many options. You can give UV therapy, Repuva in the form of acitretin and UV therapy, and antiretroviral therapy typically for the type 6 PRP. If we just do the MCQs of this point, this topic is that a 7-year-old boy presented with a generalized diffuse erythema over the whole body for the last 4 weeks. Mother gave history of the upper respiratory tract infection. There is going to be some trigger. Patient is presenting with the erythroderma. On examination, generalized areas with the area of uninvolved skin. So he has presented with the island of sparing and the palm soles is hyperkeratosis. When you do the histology, there is hyperkeratosis, acanthosis, and follicular plugging, exaggerated follicular shoulder. This is your typical shoulder parakeratosis. And patient is presented with the lymphocytic infiltrate. So what is going to be the diagnosis here? So this is a very straightforward MCQ. The patient is presenting with the island of sparing in the form of erythroderma. There is going to be trigger and the typical histology. So answer is PRP. A 51-year-old male presented to dermatology outdoor with a multiple erythematous scaly papules with a central keratotic plugging, coalescing to form the plaques at the few places involving the trunk and limbs for the 3 months in complaint of minimal initiation irritation of the lesions as well. According to patient, lesions started from the scalp, then involved the trunk. So this is you can see this is a typical cephalocaudal distribution, which is a very typical for the classical form of the PRP. There's going to be follicular plugging, there is parakeratosis and follicular shoulder hypergranulosis is as well. So this is a PRP, this is a classical form of PRP, and you just focus on the age of the patient. It's following the classical distribution of the PRP as well. 40 to 60 years was the type 1 PRP. So type 1 PRP is going to resolve in the 3 years of life. So this is the answer. A 48-year-old female presented in dermatology outpatient with a confluent orange-red erythema on the face and neck, uninvolved areas between them. So this is an island of sparing, palm plantar keratoderma, and reveals subungual hyperkeratosis, plantar hemorrhages, progresses involving the lower trunk as well. Histology reveal acanthosis, follicular plugging, exaggerated again the shoulder parakeratosis, then spotty parakeratosis and mild lymphocytic infiltrate as well. What is the systemic complication? We have just done the systemic associations in the form of hypothyroidism, in the form of erythroderma, in the form of high output cardiac failure. So these are the different associations of PRP or the complications of PRP. So this is going to be the answer: high output cardiac failure. A 25-year-old male presented to dermatology outpatient with a multiple well-circumscribed plaques of the erythema and follicular hyperkeratosis occurring on the trunk for the last 6 months. Scattered erythematous scaly macules are present on the arms and legs. Palm soles are thickened and hyperkeratosis, follicular plugging. So you can see the histology is very important for understanding the MCQ. Alternate and ortho parakeratosis, exaggerated folder shoulder. These are the two important clues for shoulder parakeratosis and alternate ortho parakeratosis, which is checkerboard patterns. Which of the following is the first line treatment? So this patient is presenting with a 6 months. 6 months is a chronic disease and he has a very widespread disease. So he should be started on the first line therapy as the systemic agent. So first line therapy in the systemic agent was your acitretin. If he asks the acitretin is already giving, then what would be the next line option? Then next is metho or ustekinumab. Then if the treatment is not with he has no treatment response with ustekinumab, then is going to be the secukinumab, which is basically your interleukin 17 inhibitor. So this is all about PRP. Hope you find this lecture beneficial.